So, did you know that if you learn to talk better, you will do better? In fact, the fastest, best, and most thorough way to level up your life is level up your ability to communicate. The quality of your life is always going to be in direct correlation to the quality of your communication. Now, when I talk about communication, you just think I'm talking about talking to people, right? That's the first thing that comes to your mind, talking to people. That's only one aspect of communication. See, we have internal communication, the things I say to myself. We have external communication, and our external communication has two directions. There's our vertical external communication, that communication between us and God, and then there's our horizontal external communication, our communication between us and others, and most recently, our external communication between us and technology. Or I should say, more impactfully recently, our external communication between us and technology. And I remember back in the 80s when I went to visit this church in Texas, and I heard the pastor speak, and I thought, I don't know if I thought any of these words, but I remember feeling like, why is this so painful for me? It seems like the people who have the least to say take the longest not to say it. And one of the things I noticed about this particular preacher was his most prolific description of everything was the word thing. Well, you got to do that thing. Make sure. And I was like, surely you can find another word. But apparently he couldn't. And when I think about people, I had a conversation with a gentleman the other day, and I noticed that he mumbled a lot. I thought, this is really a fascinating way to communicate. It's kind of like, mumbling is kind of like non-committed verbal expression. Like, I don't want to say this too clearly. I don't want to enunciate and pronunciate these words too clearly, because then I might have to take responsibility for them. I don't really know what was going on, but I was like, why does this guy keep mumbling? It's so fascinating. And then you hear some people communicate, and some are clearly intelligent, others clearly not so much, and they use a lot of profanity. And I'm like, this is fascinating. It's fascinating to me that you use non-adjectives to attempt to describe what you mean, and you think you're emphasizing something, but what you're really emphasizing is a lack of clarity. Because the words that you're using are not describing anything that you're talking about when you use profanity. Like, it's an expletive, but it's not an explanation. And it's an expletive, but it's not an exclamation. It's just an expletive. It's a demonstration of verbal laziness. I know there are people who disagree with me, but they would only disagree with me because they do it. They wouldn't disagree with me because they thought about it. Because if they thought about it, they wouldn't do it. If anybody who uses profanity thought about the negative effects of profanity, they wouldn't use it. In fact, anybody who uses negative words on rinse and repeat of any kind, not just profanity, if they understood the negative impact on their life, they wouldn't use them. Like, even words like try and maybe. And I know people think, well, try's not that bad. Really? Every time somebody says, well, this is what I'm trying to do, I have like this visceral physical reaction, and I do everything inside of myself to resist showing it on the outside. I pull up all of my internal resources to not have a reaction to the word try. Because there's no such thing, what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm doing it, or I'm not doing it. Now, when I do it, it might do what I expected it to do. And it might not do what I expected it to do, but I didn't try to do it. I did it. It just didn't do what I thought it would do when I decided I was going to do it. Does that make sense? And so, long time ago, Tony Robbins, I heard in one of his original cassette tapes back in the 90s, okay? He said, if you want to model any form of human excellence, you have to find somebody who's really good at the thing that you desire to be good at, and you have to model 3 things. And those 3 things are, you find that person, you model their belief systems, you model their physiology, and you model their mental syntax. And he said, model their belief systems. Well, what is a belief anyway? Think about that. What's a belief? What is a belief system? A belief is a story that you tell yourself about an expected outcome. Is that right? Right? A belief is a story that you tell yourself about an expected outcome. And so most people, when they tell themselves stories about expected outcomes, they tell themselves unfavorable stories and then wonder why they get undesirable outcomes. Do you understand that if you just got better at communicating with yourself, the stories you tell yourself as you are creating and perpetuating your beliefs, if you just got better at that part of your life, every other part of your life would get better. Positive thinking doesn't necessarily help you achieve everything, but it does necessarily help you achieve everything better than negative thinking does. And so you got to learn to talk better. You got to learn to talk better when you talk to yourself. You got to learn how to stop calling yourself names like, oh, you're so stupid. Oh, you're such an idiot. Oh, I can't believe you're such a loser. There's no good that can come out of talking to yourself that way. I listen to people talk to themselves, and I think to myself, if you had other friends who talk to you the way you talk to you, you wouldn't let them be your friend. And so we are so either lazy with language or unintentional with language. What would happen if you became hyper intentional about every thought you think and every belief you have and every story you tell yourself, especially the stories you tell yourself about yourself and your chances? What would happen if you leveled that up? You'd talk better, you'd do better. Even if I did believe something wasn't going to work out for me, I wouldn't claim it. I'm not talking about name it and claim it, blab it and grab it, say it. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about empowering, using your words to empower your expectations. Because expectation is your greatest superpower as a human being, whether you know it or not. Yeshua himself said, if you can believe, all things are possible to him that believes. Now, all things are possible. I get it that doesn't mean every single solitary thing, right? You're not going to jump off the Empire State Building and land on your feet. I mean, if you do, pretty much your feet and everything else is going to hurt. But all things are possible means all types, all manner, all kinds of things are possible that are not possible if you don't believe. Okay. So I'm going to strengthen my internal communication. I'm going to resist the temptation to put the past on repeat and expect my past experiences as my future expectations. I'm going to resist that temptation. As I was thinking about why do most people have such disempowered expectations? Why are most people so much better at expecting the worst than they are at expecting the best? Is that a good question? Yes. And I think most people are so much better at expecting the worst than they are at expecting the best because they know exactly what the worst feels like, or at least the worst they've felt feels like. They know what it's like when they go through pain, and sometimes, like, pain is an amplifier, right? When you go through something that's difficult and it's really, really painful for you, it amplifies the feeling. And feelings are the drivers of humanity. Like, human beings are singularly motivated. And by that I mean people do things for one reason and one reason only. What's that reason? Because they feel like it. So what if the real reason that you procrastinate is not because you're a procrastinator? What if the real reason you procrastinate is not because you have a procrastination problem? Because I've discovered that nobody has a procrastination problem. Procrastination is nobody's problem. Procrastination is a symptom of a problem. What's the problem? The problem is anxiety. What is anxiety? Anxiety is that feeling I get when I'm expecting an unfavorable outcome. Do you understand? Have you ever walked up to a chair and got ready to sit down and then you noticed like one of the legs was wobbly? You wouldn't let yourself sit down in that chair, would you? No. You wouldn't let yourself sit down in that chair. Why? Because your expectation is this chair won't hold me, so you don't put all your weight down. Do you understand that when you look at a scenario and the scenario looks unstable, it doesn't let you put, your subconscious mind will not let you put your weight in that scenario. Are y'all tracking? And so what I have to do is I have to learn how to examine. First of all, I don't want to put my weight down in a situation that won't hold me. It's kind of like when I hated flying. You say, Myron, what does hated flying mean? It means I was scared. Right? I was like, this doesn't make sense. This is so dumb. Every time I got on a plane, this is so dumb. This thing weighs hundreds of thousands of pounds. And we're all up here in this tube acting like this is normal. And people are sleeping, and I'm looking at everybody. I'm like, are y'all insane? I was scared. And I got on a plane, I never put all my weight down. I'm locked in. Somebody tapped me on my shoulder. Hey, bro, you know that chair's on this plane too. Why you messing with me, man? Right? And so like I hated flying because I was scared, because it didn't make sense. So my expectation was, since it did make, like, a plane weighs more than a city bus. You've been flying around out there. You've seen other planes in the sky while you've been flying around, right? Have you ever seen a city bus in the sky? No. This don't make sense. I've never even seen any cars up there. It's making less and less sense by the minute. I've not seen a stinking bicycle in the air. And this 757 that weighs 250,000 pounds is 40,000 feet in the air going 500 miles an hour, and everybody's acting like it makes sense. Right? So my anxiety would not allow me to relax every time there was a sound, a bump. Right? It didn't help that I watched a movie one time about that flight that was in Hawaii when the fuselage came off. Did anybody ever see that? It was so terrible. Like, I do not watch plane crash movies. I'm not watching a movie about a plane crash. I'm not doing it. I spend too much time on planes to even think about that. Right? So anyway, so I said, this is not healthy, Myron. This is not healthy for you to be scared every time you get on a plane, because you get on way too many planes, bro. This is not good. I gotta fix this. Okay, how you gonna fix it? I'm gonna take flying lessons. Gotta take flying lessons. I can get on a plane now, fall asleep before it takes off, and wake up after it lands. Why? Because it makes sense. So what I did was I educated myself at a higher level by learning some principles that gave me the ability to tell myself a better story. In fact, did you know that planes are designed to fly, and that design is so good that if a hurricane or a tornado is coming to an area, they have to remove the planes, because the planes will fly with that much wind even if nobody's on them. It's easier for a plane to fly than it is for it to stay on the ground. In fact, if you leave a plane on the ground too much and it doesn't fly, the plane will eventually become worthless because of lack of use. Wow. So, what did I do? I changed the story. Changed the story. When I changed the story, changed my belief. I ain't scared no more. In fact, I was the co-pilot on a twin engine prop jet from Tampa or from Lakeland to the Bahamas. And it was like 2.5 hour flight. And I'm like, I got my headset on, my Bose headset on, and I'm looking at the avionics, and I'm adjusting the trim, and I'm doing all the stuff the pilots tell me to do. We had to fly around storms and stuff. It was so cool. This was from a guy who used to get on a plane and not put all his weight down. Right? So what am I telling you? I'm telling you, you have to improve your internal communication. You have to improve your vertical communication from the standpoint that this will change your life. When God has said something in Scripture, let that be the end of it. Just act as if it's true. The most fascinating thing that I've observed in my life in attending church and watching people who attend church is they feel real good about it while they're there and do absolutely nothing about it when they leave. Blows my mind. People who read the Bible every day and apply apparently none of it, or very little. Like they give up a couple of things and take on a couple of things right after they come to Christ, and then what happens? After that, they're like, okay, I'm there. There is no there. That's the point. And so my vertical communication with God improves when God gives me an objective and I line up my life with that objective. And I realize that when I'm praying and I'm talking to God, I am not talking to God to get him to do my thing. I'm talking to God to get me in tune with him so I can do his thing. It changes the game. It changes the game completely. And then when I do that, my external communication changes. The quality of your life is going to be in direct proportion to the quality of the communications you have with other people. Because it's the communications that you have with other people that help you find a mate. It's the communications that you have with other people that help you raise responsible children. It's the communications that you have with other people that help you get a job if you want a job. It's the communications you have with other people that give you the ability to hire employees if you need delegation. And the communication that you have with other people is what is required for you to acquire business partners and clients and business relationships of all kinds. Your ability to verbalize a message that shows the people you're talking to what they get out of engaging with you is going to determine the quality of your life. And so it's amazing. The best time to think about what you're going to get out of a conversation or an interaction is before the interaction starts. Once the interaction starts, you have to make it all about them. And you have to figure out before you engage with them how you making it all about them is going to be beneficial to them and beneficial to you. You have to figure it out before you engage in the conversation. And most people are terrible at that. It's quite fascinating. I've often thought, this person had this really great idea. Maybe they're an inventor, maybe they're a software developer, maybe they're an author, and they're really, really good at coming up with a solution. And then they start talking to people about it, and when you hear them talk about it, it's horrible. Like, how could you take this beautiful thing and make it that ugly? Well, what happens is one of two things. Either they fall in love with the trinkets that they've invented or the templates that they've designed, or they fall in love with the amount of time they put into becoming the expert. So they think that the other person is going to fall in love with spending time with them, so they think time with them is the value of their offer. Or the other mistake they make is they realize that they've created something so good that they're going to get paid a lot of money. And so now, instead of thinking about the transformation that they've created for other people, when they're talking to other people, they're thinking about the transaction and they're not thinking about that person's transformation. And so as soon as they realize they're getting paid, they mess up the story. It's so fascinating. And so what you've got to learn how to do is you've got to learn how to communicate with other people in such a way that shows them the value that they get from engaging with you, while realizing and simultaneously not caring shouldn't say not caring, simultaneously not being focused on the value that you get from that interaction. It's really challenging to do, especially if you don't understand that it's the thing that you need to do in order to make the thing that you're working on do the thing that you intended it to do when you started working on it. It's so easy to get distracted by the minutia. It's so easy. No wonder most people are terrible. Which means, by the way, though, most people are terrible at doing all this stuff I'm talking about, which means if you get good at it, you'll be one of the best in the world. This is why, like, if you talk better, you do better. Now, here's the latest place I realized this. Artificial intelligence. Your ability to leverage AI to the fullest is going to be in direct proportion to your ability to describe exactly the outcome you desire. And then challenge the outputs that the AI gives you with more and better articulation. Your ability to communicate with AI is going to determine whether or not AI takes you along for the ride or whether you get left behind. Period. So, Myron, I get all of that. What's the best way for me to level up my communication? There are two things. Here's the good thing about two. All of us can count to two. And all of us can remember two things. Now, aren't you glad I didn't say 200? Not that you can't count to 200, but it might be a little bit of a challenge for you to remember 200 things. So, two things. Read more well-written, good books with good ideas. Read more. Number two, write more. Write more what, Myron? When you're reading books and you're listening to videos like this one right here, and you're having conversations with intelligent people, and they say something in those books, on those videos, in that conversation that really resonates with you, don't write down what they said. Write down what you thought of as a result of what they said. That will be your unique content that levels up your life for the rest of your life. Hope this video helps you. Talk better, do better. Level up your life by leveling up your communication. We'll see you in the next video. Peace out, Cub Scout. On this video, I'm going to share with you two of the most important factors that are absolutely essential if you're serious, not just curious, about becoming a millionaire. I'm going to share with you the business models and the business markets that make millionaires, as well as the business models and the business markets that don't. Because all markets are not created equally, and all business models are not created equally. And if you pick the wrong model and or the wrong market, you are going to engage in a struggle fest, the likes of which you will not be very happy about. So, what are these business models? I'm going to write them on the board just so like you can follow my thinking. Hopefully, I'll be able to follow my thinking. So as we're looking at markets and models, I'm going to cover the business markets first, because I think one of the biggest mistakes people make when they start a business is they start their business in here. This is something I know how to do, so this is the business I'm going to start. This is something I love, so this is the business I'm going to start. This is something I've always wanted to do, so this is the business I'm going to start. Instead of starting your business out there. If you start your business in here, there's a 50-50 chance at best that you'll strike gold. If you say, well, this is just something I know how to do. Right, but if that's something you know how to do is not something that solves a problem for other people, then it doesn't matter that that's all you know how to do. People think that wealth is a lot of money. I believe that wealth is your and my ability, our ability to create value for someone other than ourselves. I want you to think about that. Like anybody who's wealthy, any business that's produced a lot of wealth, they've done it because they've been able to create value for a large number of people other than themselves. And because you're the one starting the business, and you're starting the business because you want to make more money, unfortunately, when you start the business, the person you're thinking about is you, And then when you're creating stuff, you're thinking about you. And then when you go talk to the people about the stuff you created, you're thinking about you. And therefore, you don't have the ability to create wealth because you created all solutions for yourself and none for anybody else. And so you're hoping that you'll create wealth by going out and using the market to solve your problems. It just doesn't work that way. That's like unplugging something, unplugging a lamp to make the light turn on. It doesn't work. It's backwards. And so if you're serious about creating wealth, you have to pick the right market. Now, there are 3 different markets we're going to talk about. I'm going to do it like this, and I'm going to do it like this, and I'm going to do it like that. And so the first market is the worst market. And this is the market that a lot of people, when they get started in, even if they don't get started in this market, they think about whatever market they got started in from this perspective, and it costs you a fortune. And that is a commodity market. Now, what's a commodity market? A commodity market is a market where the product only has intrinsic value. What is intrinsic value? Intrinsic value means it's utilitarian value. It's like a box of nails. It's like a box of screws. It's like a broom, a dustpan, a mop, right? The value is that you can use this thing to do that thing, right? If you go into the commodity market, they only have an intrinsic or utilitarian value, then the other things about that is because it only has an intrinsic value, you can only be competitive in the marketplace via price. Right? And so what happens is, let's say you sell nails, and your nails that you sell in your hardware store are $5 a box. So you sell your nails for $5. But your competitor has a hardware store down the street, across the street. He walks past your window, he sees your nails are $5. So he sells, so these are your nails. And then your competitor sells goes to his were $5.10. He goes and he sells his nails now. He lowers his price to $4.90. And then you see his nails on your way to somewhere else, and then you lower your nails to $4.80. And then he lowers his to $4.80, and then he lowers his to $4.70. And so what happens is you get in a race with price, you get in a race to the bottom for the person who can have the lowest price. There is no competitive advantage whatsoever to being the second lowest price. There's no competitive advantage. And so if you win, you lose, and if you lose, you lose. Why? Because you chose the wrong race to be in. You're in a commodity market, because when you are in a commodity market, your competitor sets your price. Unless you figure out how to make a self-driving nail where all you have to do is put it on a spot and it drives itself, you're probably not going to outpay. People are going to buy nails from the businesses that are the closest to them that have a reasonable price. So we don't want to build our business based on a commodity market. Then we have mass markets. And some mass markets products are, they have an intuitive value. But the most important thing about mass market products is they are priced based on cost of goods. How much did it cost me to make it? So this is why I don't want to just sell a product that's mass marketed. Like if I were going to sell a mass market product, I wouldn't sell just a general mass market product. Let's say I'm going to sell cars. I wouldn't just sell cars, because a car is a car is a car is a car. If I'm going to sell houses, I wouldn't just sell houses, because a house is a house is a house is a house. I would have to have something other than the intrinsic value and the cost of goods. So what they do is they say, okay, it cost me X amount of dollars to make this. I'm going to mark it up 15%. I'm going to mark it up 30%. And then I'm going to go to the marketplace with that as the price. So if that's the way you build your business, so you're stuck like Chuck in a pickup truck because now the people who sell you the raw materials to make your products determine your price. Okay, let me ask you a question. If you started a business and you go out and you borrow money to start that business, and then you hire people, who took the risk to start that business? Everybody say, I did. That's right, you did. So you took the risk to start that business, but somebody else sets your prices? How does that make sense? It doesn't. Not only does it not make sense, it doesn't make any sense at all. So, there's like, what can you do to enhance this? Well, you can do some things in mass market to enhance the price, but not by a significant enough margin. So something as essential as food, right? Food's fairly essential, right? Do you know what the margins on grocery stores are? So how small is small? No, not 5%, not 10%, like 2 to 3%. They make 2 to 3 cents on every dollar for the food that they sell. Sell some. It's mind blowing. So cost of goods. This is not fun. Both of these are stress and headache city. This is the only arena in which I want to play. This is the only market in which I want to play. PVMs, premium value market. What is a premium value market? A premium value market, now the price is set by the perceived value and the intrinsic value. And the cost of goods doesn't even come into play. It doesn't matter. So it's like my book. All right, Keenan, edit that part out. Okay, cool. It's like my book from Boss Moves. This is a paperback book. It has 172 pages. If I were in the commodity market and I was just selling a book, I might be able to get away with selling this for $16.95. Right? Why? Because that's how much paperback books sell for, like at the most. Right? If I were in the mass market, it cost me about $5. Again, I might be able to sell it for $16.95 because of how much it cost me to make. Actually, it cost me about $3 to make. So, or I could sell it, or how much people in the market sell paperback books for. You go to Barnes & Noble, you're not going to find one. If you do, I'll be shocked. 172-page paperback book for the amount of money. You won't find one that I sell this book for. You won't even come close, right? So this book sells for $30 plus shipping. And the shipping is $9.99 domestically, and it's $25 internationally. So somebody literally who lives overseas, when they buy this book, they pay $55 to get this book. Why? Because this book doesn't fit here, and it doesn't fit here, it fits there. It's a premium value, like it's a premium value offer for a book. So on the internet, when people sell books, they have this concept. You've probably bought books this way, but you didn't know it was like, this is a marketing strategy. It's called free plus shipping offer. Okay, has anybody not heard of free plus shipping offer? Okay, all of you have heard of it. Okay, so you give the book away for free and you only charge shipping. But then as soon as they say, I'll take the book and pay for the shipping, you offer them something else that enhances the book experience. And then you offer them something else that enhances that experience. And by the time you get done, you started out paying $7.95 for shipping and handling, but by the time you check out, you got $125 in your cart. That is a viable strategy. It's just not the one I chose to use. And because the reason I didn't choose it is because I don't like building businesses based on analogy. I like building businesses based on first principles. And so the first question, to me, the first question when it comes to first principles about anything is, what is the objective, right? And as I shared with you all this morning, the most important thing you can do with regard to selling anything is to build a personal brand. Well, what's a brand? A brand is a name that reminds you of a story. So what is the story people tell themselves when they hear your name? That's the question, right? That's the question that we want to have in our mind when we're creating. Okay, what's the story I want people to think of when they hear my name? So everybody was modeling Russell Brunson. Makes sense. He's brilliant, right? He's a brilliant marketer. He's doing a free plus shipping offer on his book. So everybody starts doing free plus shipping offers, and they're giving away thousands and thousands of books, and they're doing upsells and upsells and upsells. And then I come along and I say, well, I'm going to sell my book for $30 and $9.99 shipping and handling. So I had a guy who eventually bought one of my coaching programs. He said, when I saw your book for sale for $30 and $9.99 shipping and handling, he said, I was so mad. And he didn't say mad. He said, I was so mad. How does he think he is? How can he charge this much money for this book? He said, then I read the sales funnel and it said, well, I charge $40,000 an hour for coaching. And if you read that book, like if you hired me to coach you, whatever I'd tell you in the first 2 hours is the stuff in this book. He said, once I saw that, I was like, oh, that makes sense. And then he bought the book. But he didn't just buy the book. He bought the upsell to the challenge. And then he bought the coaching program at the end of the challenge. Why? Because I had a frame. I gave him a frame through which to view my offer that made it make sense to him to say yes to that offer. Are y'all tracking? Right? And see, one of your problems is, as an entrepreneur, you don't have any pre-framing. You know what's really fascinating to me? People, when they look at other people doing something that they don't understand, and it doesn't make sense to them, their only conclusion is that it's a scam. So anything that you don't understand, there's somebody out there who wants to make money off of you to tell you it's a scam. Like a lot of people say multi-level marketing is a scam. Now, I'm not a fan of multi-level marketing for me. I don't participate in multi-level marketing, but I still think it's a great business model. I think it's a great business model. I think any entrepreneur who wants to build a business would do well to have their first business be a network marketing business where they have to build a team, they have to learn how to sell, and they have to learn how to recruit, and they have to learn how to lead people who don't have to follow them. Because you will develop so many skills. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, there he goes promoting multi-level marketing. I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying I believe it's as viable a business model as a real estate agency. It's as viable a business model as an insurance agency. But most of the people don't make any money. Most of the people in most things don't make any money, right? But the reality is you will learn skills that are absolutely essential. One of the reasons I'm so good at sales, one of the reasons I'm so good at marketing is because I was so terrible at it when I got started in network marketing, selling insurance and investments, and I was terrible, how long? Until I got good. Okay, so you are tracking. So these are the markets that create millionaires. Now let's look at the business models. Okay, I'm gonna do it like I like to do my different levels. Okay, so the lowest of all of the business models is what I call a wantrepreneur. In fact, I'm not even going to do it that way. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do LV times LP equals wantrepreneur. So LV times LP, what is that? Low volume times low price. So you have something that you sell. Let's say you sell it for $20. Let's say you sell 2 of them a month. You think you have a business, but you want to be an entrepreneur. You're a wantrepreneur. You're not a real entrepreneur. Why? Because you have low volume and low price, low profits. So you can do high HV times LP, and that, you know what? I should have done the other one first. I'll just leave it like this. This equals what I call a waltrepreneur. A waltrepreneur? Yes. What is that? That is like Sam Walton. What did he do? Sam Walton said, I never want to make more than 30% margin on anything I sell. He said, if I go buy something in bulk and I get a discount from my vendors, I'm going to pass that discount on to my customers. And Sam Walton became the richest man in the world with the waltrepreneur business model. High volume, low price. That's a really viable business. There are a lot of people who do that today in what market, in what business? E-commerce. Low profit, high volume. They sell plastic forks or whatever, and they sell millions of them, and they make a lot of money, okay? I saw this thing, I was watching this Shark Tank episode last night on YouTube, and these people created this thing called bucket golf. And they created this backyard game with these oversized golf clubs, these oversized golf balls, and these pop-up bucket things with a flag in it. And they sell it for $299. And the first year, when they first created, they only did like $5,000, and then the next year they did 2 million, and the next year they did like 5 million, and the next year they did like $12 million in sales. All e-commerce, $200, relatively low price, and then but crazy high volume. Then you have LV times HP. This is what I call the entrepreneur business model. What is the entrepreneur business model? Low volume times high profit equals entrepreneur. So when I first got started, I was an entrepreneur. Like when I first got started coaching in the coaching space, I was coaching people on how to sell. And in particular, I was coaching people in network marketing, a whole bunch of different network marketing companies, because I got good at that. I got to the place where I was making $40,000 a month. So I was teaching other people, how do you build an organization where you can make like significant money in network marketing or multi-level marketing? So I had a program that I sold for $497. And I would go and speak to these organizations. These companies would have me come in and I'd do a presentation, and I might have like 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 people buy my $497 program. Well, if 100 people buy your $497 program in a month, that's $50,000. That's low volume. 100 people, that's really low volume. But because it's $497, I was able to make a significant income. Does that make sense? And then my favorite business model is the one that I participate in now. I mean, I do some of this and I do some of that. I stay as far away from this as I can. And this is what I call HV times HP. That's high volume times high price equals what I call wealth entrepreneur. Wealth entrepreneur. What is that? That's when you sell something that cost $55,000. And you have hundreds of people who buy it from you. That's when you sell something that costs $27,000. You have hundreds of people to buy that from you. Or you sell something that's $375,000, and you have dozens of people buy that from you. And you just keep on doing that. So all of those price points between high volume, high price, all those price points between $25,000 and $1 million, we've sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of those. We've only had 4 people buy the $1 million offer, but still, it's one of those high price. And if you start down at $25,000, that's a whole lot of people. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds of people who bought stuff from us between $25,000 and $1 million. Those are the business markets. These are the business models that if you will stick with them, they will make you a millionaire. Now, here's the mistake people make. I'm going to go sit back over here. Here's the mistake people make. They start their business and they don't take into consideration at all what is the model, what's my business model going to be? And they don't take into consideration at all what market am I going to like go into to serve. You missed the whole point. Sure. When I used to serve people in network marketing, my coaching programs were $497. Now that I serve high-level entrepreneurs, we have doctors, we have attorneys, we have real estate agents, we have insurance brokerage owners. We have people from all walks of life who are high net worth, high income individuals. Now, I'm serving a different market. So the market that I serve, the premium value market, supports the wealth entrepreneur business model to a T. And here's the beauty of it, for those of you who are contemplating whether or not you should go into the wealth entrepreneur business model. Very few people ever step into that arena because they think it's so hard. And I'm going to let them keep believing that. So I hope this video helps you. Stay blessed by the best, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.